All right. Can everybody give a high five to the nearest person to them? Okay. Now, my speech is not necessarily what some people would consider life-changing. I'm not going to try and get you to change a law. I don't want you to change the way that you look at everything in the world. I want to talk to you about a certain kind of beauty, the way that our society looks at beauty, specifically in the realm of tattoos. Now, I, of course, support tattoos because I have them. I love my tattoos. I think that they're a great expression of who I am as a person and the things that I hold dear to me. I'm not saying everybody here needs to get a tattoo right now. Throughout your life is fine. You can wait a few years, wait till you have kids, and then just tattoo them on you. And then that's the only tattoo you need to get. But what I'm saying is tattooing is an experience that you should not miss. Because while I was very afraid, it's gonna hurt, they're stabbing me with a needle, I don't want them to stab me with a needle. It was amazing, and now I have 4. I've gotten 4 in the last 5 years, and I would get more if they weren't so expensive. But let's talk about the statistics of it, shall we? Let's talk about the technological parts of it. Back in the day, they needed a rubber band and a little motor and like a needle, and then they would dip it in some ink, and then they would stab you with it thousands of times. That doesn't sound like very much fun to me. In recent years, they've come up with these amazing, amazing technologies called tattoo guns, where they just go and then all of a sudden you have a tattoo, and it's permanent. And that's really cool, because it looks really scary, and then it does something really awesome. And then you have technological advances in ink. We started out with, they were making ink out of roots, out of urine, out of blood. Now, I don't know about you guys, but having somebody else put their bodily fluids into my skin doesn't sound all that great to me. Now they have ink that's made in a factory where nobody has to tell me what's in it, and I like that just fine. Also, we have other cultures. There are cultures, the Maori culture in New Zealand, to be specific, takes a stick with a bunch of needles in it, and then they take a hammer, and they dip it in ink, and then they hammer it into your leg. I couldn't do that. I do not have that strength of will, nor do I have that high of pain tolerance. I'm quite content with our little American system of tattooing with guns. Okay, let's talk about the importance of tattoos. Now that you can get, and anybody can get a tattoo, provided that you don't have some really intense, rare blood disease where you're going to bleed everywhere if they pierce your microderm or anything like that. Let's talk about how your body can become a canvas. Now, I consider my tattoos art. There's an artist who's trained for years, and they go through an apprenticeship, and they have to do all this stuff just to be able to permanently put ink on my body. One of my favorite tattoos is the tattoo on my leg. I got this tattoo for my mom, and also because I was studying forensic anthropology at the time. And this tattoo was entered into a contest in Colorado. The tattoo artist that gave me this tattoo now has a much better paying job because of her portfolio, because she's an artist. You start out really low off, you don't have your own booth, you work for other people, you work your way up. It is very rare to find apprenticeship programs in anything anymore. In our society, it's like you go to college, you know how to do it, you're good. But with tattoos, they still consider it like back in like the Renaissance, where you had a master and an apprentice, and they spent years going through this. You still have to do that for tattoos, which is why I consider it one of the better arts. I might be biased about that, though. Next, you have how tattoos tell a story. Each of my tattoos are something that's been in my life for a long time. I have a tattoo for my mom, who I've known for 22 years. And I have a tattoo for speech and drama, which is one of the most important things in my life. I love to act. I love to perform, as some of you might have noticed. So things that are very important to me. And I'm not saying that every tattoo that everybody has to get needs to be something that's super important to them. I know a girl who has a seahorse because she likes seahorses. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't personally do it, but that doesn't mean that nobody can. Now, we'll talk about what beauty means. Now, when we think about beauty, we think about all of these actresses and actors and people on TV and people in magazines, people who are paid to look pretty. Now, I'd like to be paid to look pretty. That sounds pretty cool to me, but that's not really the way that it works, because these people are photoshopped. And Angelina Jolie one time did a movie. I'm trying to remember which movie. I believe it was the movie Salt. They had to mark out all of her tattoos so that she would look like somebody else. So you lose a part of your identity because they're saying, hey, that's not what pretty is in this culture. In our culture, you have perfect skin and you don't have any marks that mark you as anything other. You don't want to be different. Well, I want to be different, and I think the tattoos are one of the greatest ways to make yourself look different. Like, you might have an identical twin, but you have 2 different tattoos. People can now tell you apart. That seems kind of cool. I bet my sisters would like that because they hate it when people think that they look the same even though they don't. They're fraternal. It's a completely weird story. But now we'll talk about how tattooing can make you more attractive. I consider people with tattoos very attractive. I think it's one of the greatest things. Like, one, it means that you have pain tolerance, and that's kind of important to me because I'm sort of a painful person. So then we have what it does to you as a person. It means that you are a canvas and an artist, because most people come up with the ideas for their own tattoos. They don't just walk in and pick something off the wall. They have this idea, this beautiful image that they want on their body forever. And I think that that makes you more attractive as a person. Now let's look at this guy. He's really pretty. I'll pass him around, but just so you know, he's very pretty. And he has tattoos, and more than that, he's wearing a suit. That's a little strange, because for the most part, when people tell us about tattoos, they talk about people who get prison tattoos, and the Yakuza over in Japan, people who have the full body tattoos stating that they're in a gang, that they kill people. I've never killed anybody. I have tattoos. I think it's okay to have tattoos that you can hide. Like, my boss, I work in the info desk in McMullen Hall. So we are the people that you see when you walk into McMullen Hall. We answer questions all the time. My boss has more than 30 tattoos. She's got full sleeves on both of her arms. She's got tattoos on her chest. I've never seen anybody look at her funny because of them, because she presents herself as a professional. And you can have tattoos and be professional at the same time. Granted, with some people it's harder. Let's say you have a full face tattoo. A lot of people probably aren't going to take you that seriously still, because in our society, it's still not all that normal for people to have tattoos, which is funny because my entire family has tattoos, and my sister wants to be a doctor, and my dad's a high school teacher with 64 tattoos, but he puts on a button-up shirt and jeans, and you can't see a single one of them. Mine are a little bit different because the one on my arm is pretty visible. Everybody who sees me pretty much knows it because I like to wear short sleeve shirts. But if I put on a long sleeve shirt and I put on jeans, you would not be able to see a single one of my tattoos, making them hidden tattoos. One of the less hidden tattoos would be tattoos on your neck, tattoos on your face, tattoos on your hands. Now, I know a lot of people who have tattoos like that, but it's not exactly something I could do because I've seen people get them. That's really thin skin right there. You have to be really prepared to have somebody tattoo something that's going to take hours on your neck, where if they mess up, and this is back to the artistry point of it, they mess up and you might get paralyzed, or they could puncture your trachea and you could die. Now, this is very, very serious stuff, which is why we have trained professionals do it. You can't just, I know people who have gotten tattoos from their friends using a really, strapped together with the rubber band and the motor and the needle thing in their friend's house. None of them look good. They don't look good. Most of the time they get infected. If you guys have ever seen the movie Bridesmaids, when you see Rebel Wilson, she's like, I got a tattoo in a bar, and it's like the most infected thing you've ever seen. It's because she got that in a back alley somewhere. Don't trust back alley tattoo artists. It's like, they're sort of like the snake oil salesman. They're like, hey, it's going to be great. I'm going to give you something. It's going to be beautiful. Also, it might kill you. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Personally, tattoos are very important to me. And I'm not saying that they need to be important to everybody. I'm just saying that we can make the world a more beautiful place with some tattoo ink.